So I moved to Vivian Westwood, learned all about sustainability there, and particularly the climate and the environmental side, which was right before I launched Fanfare Label. So we really do focus on circularity, particularly denim. It's one of the most unsustainable products out there.
Orbiting 250 miles above, the space station provides us with the ultimate view of planet Earth. From this perspective, we ask our guests to engage with 6 questions that orbit around wonder and stories of hopefulness. For the next few minutes, this is our Wonderspace.
Welcome to the 139th episode of the Wonderspace podcast. My name is Steve Cole, and over the past 4 years, I have had the privilege of asking the same 6 questions to amazing people from around the world. Questions that orbit around wonder and stories of hopefulness. We started during the COVID lockdown to enlarge people's vision and perspective and remind us that alongside crisis and emergency are always mind-blowing wonders in the natural world and hopeful stories that have the potential to fuel us and energize us, even in the most challenging of times. Before I introduce our guest this week, here is another 1-minute wonder from our friends at Ask Nature, who are part of the Biomimicry Institute.
There is a small mammal in East Africa with a striped pattern that lets you know something special is going on. Its common name is the African crested rat, but that hardly does justice to its striking abilities. After gnawing on the roots of poison arrow trees, these little rodent relatives spread their now highly toxic saliva into their fur. Specialized hairs possess a unique structure consisting of cylindrical shafts with numerous irregular holes. Inside these shafts lie many fibrils that extend the entire length of the hair, creating a network that enhances the capillary forces responsible for drawing the liquid through the structure. By studying this structure and the function of these hairs, humans can gain valuable insights into how to design more efficient and effective systems for the absorption, wicking, and distribution of liquids in various industries.
This week on Wonderspace, we ask our 6 questions to Esther Knight. Esther is the founder of an independent sustainable fashion house called Fanfare Label, who are leading the way for circularity and positive change. They were recently featured in Elle Magazine as a British brand that you should know about, and are winners of various sustainable design awards. I hope you enjoyed this Wonderspace orbit with Esther. Esther, it's so great to have you on board Wonderspace today. We're going to orbit around your story, but we're also going to venture into wonder, places of reset, and your story of hopefulness. So it's going to be quite a ride, and it's so great to have you on board today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Great. So firstly, from this imaginary window seat on the space station with this panoramic overview of Earth, our first question is, if we could do a fly past over any part of the world that is significant to you, which place, city or country would it be and why?
Yeah, well, great question. I think that it would definitely be like over Asia. So myself and my husband had the privilege of traveling around Asia a few years ago, before we got into our careers and things. And it was just amazing. We went away for a year. We went all the way, we started in Vietnam and went all the way and ended up in Bali at the end. So traveling through Malaysia, Laos, Thailand. And yeah, I think I would just try and fly over all that just to just remind myself of the memories. My particular favorite country was Laos. It's just so scenic and beautiful. It's like nowhere I've ever seen before. I imagined it being a bit like Avatar. It was just totally out of this world. And so definitely doing a fly past over Laos, one of the top countries.
Brilliant. Esther, I love the fact that Fanfare Label exists, and I think that your radical vision around circularity and sustainability has never been more vital. But in a few minutes, just give us a glimpse into your life story so far, with an emphasis on what you're doing currently. So how have we got to where we are today?
Yeah, great journey. I did a business degree at university, and knowing I wanted to be in fashion, but I actually wanted to study business because I wanted to be a buyer. Buyers are in charge of everything that goes into stores, and they really need business heads as well, which is why I studied business. And I got my first job at Barbour, and Barbour is an amazing heritage brand where you cherish garments, you keep hold of them for a lifetime. And I just really learned from the best, and really enjoyed my time there. I then moved from Barbour to high street fashion, and although I enjoyed it, and I'm so thankful for all the experiences that it's given me, there was the question over ethics, and I was witnessing firsthand unethical practices within the fashion industry, particularly from a supplier side. So businesses putting huge amounts of pressure on suppliers and trying to negotiate ridiculous cost price reductions and penalizing them for late deliveries. And I just thought that it was just really bad behavior from the brands, really. And when you get to a race to the bottom on cost, that's when corners are cut, and health and safety issues and all the issues surrounding workers' rights and the supply chain, that's where they start, essentially. So I started to look into sustainability, and I actually pitched to the brand that I was working at the time, maybe 15 years ago now, that sustainability was going to become key for the fashion industry and that they needed to start investing in it. But the change from within often doesn't work. And so I moved to Vivienne Westwood, learned all about sustainability there, and particularly the climate and the environmental side, which was right before I launched Fanfare Label. So we really do focus on circularity, particularly denim. It's one of the most unsustainable products out there. So the fact that people throw them away, we can just reuse them. They're a really durable fabric. We work with local factories and manufacturers and just try and look at our entire supply chain and how to do business responsibly.
That's amazing. There's one line on your website that I absolutely love, and it's what others see as waste, Fanfare sees as a starting point. And I love that. So how have you seen Fanfare kind of evolve and develop over time? You know, are you finding traction in various places? What are you seeing at the moment?
Well, when we started as an upcycling brand, so taking fashion wastage caused by the wider industry and reworking it into new product. And I mentioned denim, it's really durable, and a good quality pair of jeans shouldn't be thrown away. There's so much more you can do with that. And our denim became really, really popular. But I remember at the time, no one was upcycling. No factory wanted to do it. No supplier was interested in upcycling. And now the conversations have really shifted, which is really great. And it's brands like us that are really driving the innovation within the industry and moving things forwards. Yes, it's often difficult being the first one doing these kind of projects, but actually that's how you can create real change. So we've seen our upcycle collection take off and our denim become really popular. And now that we've managed to produce our own jeans that are ethically made in Portugal, and they save 92% water compared to conventional denim, have no hazardous chemicals, and have an eco washing process as well. And they also are made from the waste that can't be reused. We've really developed our product. Upcycling is a massive heart of the business, and we just make sure that we're designing circularly. So we're using those, if we're creating new product, we're ensuring that the end of life is considered in every garment.
So inspiring. As with all these things, your work just opened up another vista for me that I didn't know existed. I didn't know, for instance, that a business like Materialist exists, a marketplace for dead stock fabrics.
Yeah. I mean, before they didn't exist, and fabrics has been one of the hardest, the biggest challenges we've had as a brand. The Materialist now is brilliant because it's still along that mantra of let's not create new things, let's create from what is already out there. We don't need to produce newness; there's enough, and so that has really helped our business. I think that there's been really a lot of step changes ahead in terms of sustainability in the industry, but there's always more that can be done. The fabric innovation side is incredibly exciting, and particularly around the recycling and using recycled materials and what we can do with denim. We're seeing huge innovations within that space.
Yeah, that's so good. And on the other side, incredible hopefulness. I'm so inspired by like the Centre for Sustainable Fashion at UAL. There's people like Tom Crisp leading the Sustainable Fashion MA at Falmouth University. And then we've interviewed Matilda Tam and Kate Fletcher. And there are so many leaders inspiring a new generation of designers and innovators and imaginators. And it just feels hopeful. But obviously running parallel to that is the ever-growing fast fashion industry. On your website talks about 2 million tons of clothing discarded in the UK alone every year, which is just shocking, isn't it? But how do you reflect on the vast kind of global interconnected industry right now? How does it make you feel when you are looking at the fashion industry as a whole at the moment?
So, I mean, I feel that there has been step changes ahead. I think that the issue that we've got is that the regulation has been quite slow, which means that these fashion brands that are the issue when it comes to the landfill wastage, creating disposable fashion that's not good quality, and so it ends up in landfill. And then because it's synthetic fibers, it doesn't biodegrade either, and that's where the issue comes in. There's no regulation at the moment, and yes, it's coming, but there's loopholes, and I think that without that, the real change we won't see. And so as amazing as it is having these businesses really that want to do well, that want to fix the industry, that want to bring about positive change, that we're all working great, doing great things within the industry, and we're all working really hard. But then it's very much on the other side of that is the fast fashion crisis that we're in, and without that regulation, they're not going to change. And so I think that's just the most important thing, to get things done and get these fast fashion brands penalised, and also consumer behaviour, trying to make that shift between quality over quantity and sustainability, and investing in slow fashion, so pieces that are going to last you and stand the test of time. I think the customer mindset as well is incredibly important.
Esther, I love what you're pursuing. It's so important. But with so many layers to your life, Esther, where on earth is your place of reset or recharge?
Yeah, another great question. So I think it has to be for me Conway in Wales. I've been going there since I was very young with my whole family and my parents and my brother and sister. And I think that multiple times a year, in fact, not even once a year. So we know it like the back of our hand. And I think what's great about Wales is it has everything. It has the sea, it has beaches, it has mountains, it has nature, amazing walks. And we have a little cottage that you can open the back gate and you're on a mountain, and there's wild horses and things. And it's just, yeah, it's my place definitely to recharge. And I think as soon as I hear those seagulls and I know I'm near the beach, it's a massive stress relief.
Nice. And Esther, what wonder of the natural world excites you the most?
The best holidays I've been on are the ones where you're immersed in nature. So I think that safaris and the plains are just incredible. And again, going back to your first question of where would you like to fly over, definitely Tanzania and Kenya plains and seeing the big five. I think that it's just incredible. We're looking at holidays there, but it's crazy expensive, can't afford them at the moment, but it'd be great to one day do that. And I think that anything involving animals and nature is definitely the thing that excites me the most.
Yeah, here we go. Our fifth question, Esther, takes the focus onto someone else. And over the last 3.5 years, we've asked everybody to share their story of hopefulness, which is not your own, about a person, business, or non-profit who are doing amazing things for the world. So today, who would you love to give a shout out to?
Really hard to choose from, and obviously there's so many people, but I felt that I had to pick someone that was in the fashion industry and a fashion designer, as much as there's so many other people I'd like to highlight. I think having a focus on fashion is really important and really showing what you can do with this industry to do good. So again, related to my story, the person I've picked is Vivienne Westwood. And I think that she's a great kind of advocate for the rebellious, not being accepted side of things, which sometimes we all can feel, that side of rejection. When Vivienne Westwood first started out, she was totally rejected by the fashion industry. They didn't believe in what she was creating and what she was doing and the movement and the creativity that she was bringing. And so if anyone hasn't watched her documentary, I would recommend it. It's really insightful. But she was passed year upon year for the opportunity to win Fashion Designer of the Year. Like they just completely ignored her year after year and didn't think that she was the right fit to win something like that. And it was her perseverance and just carrying on and just not caring that she was rejected by the industry and that she just did her own thing, and that rebellious side, but that independence and the confidence, I think, is something really to recognize. And then she ended up winning it. I don't know how many years later, but she ended up winning it 2 years in a row. And she's obviously gone on to win the Lifetime Achievement Award as well. And for me, why she's a particular highlight is even from the beginning, she's been advocating for human rights and the environment. It's not something that everything that we are talking about now, she was talking about in the 80s and the 70s. And she's always a step ahead with everything. And when I worked there, it really is what you see is what you get. And there isn't it's not for performance. It's not for a reaction. It's her true belief in doing the right thing by people and planet, and at the cost of the business sometimes. And I think that really needs to be recognized. And actually, if everybody had her kind of mantra within their fashion company, we could make fashion a positive thing.
Esther, this has been such an inspiring orbit. And as we draw our time to a close and prepare to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, what insight, wisdom, or question would you like to leave with us?
Again, I'm very much leaning towards the entrepreneurial side and keeping it very relevant, as much as there's so many things to say on this matter. I think that the entrepreneurs of the world really need that encouragement. And I think mainly it's just to keep doing one step at a time and really believe in yourself. I think that when you're on the journey and things get really difficult, you have really high highs, really low lows, and just that confidence in yourself is just so important. And don't worry about having to take a break and enjoying the process. I think that so many times I've rushed through projects in the business and things have been really hard, but I actually haven't enjoyed the process in the middle. And you look back and you haven't celebrated those little wins, and that is so important, just to give you that strength to keep going.
That's a great answer. And Esther, to find out more about you and Fanfare, where is the best place to go and find out more information?
Yeah, of course. So our website is fanfarelabel.com. And then if you follow us on Instagram or TikTok, we're at Fanfare Label.
Brilliant. That's been such a joy to orbit with you today, Esther. Thanks so much for helping us to re-wonder and for sharing your stories of hopefulness. You're so inspirational, and Fanfare is something I'd love people to know about and to follow. It's so vital and important. So keep doing it.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you again for all the support.
I hope you enjoyed this inspiring orbit with Esther today. In our 5th question on Wonderspace, we have asked 140 people to share a hopeful story that's not their own, about a person, business or non-profit who are doing amazing things in the world. Inspired by the potential of this question, we have created a networking platform called Someone Else that connects us through the way that we share hopeful stories about someone else. Go to someoneelse.space, create a simple profile and upload your story. Thanks for listening to Wonderspace today.